Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Hannah. So for today's look, we're going to be doing a pretty easy look. I only used 3 eyeshadows to get this look. We're kind of just contouring the eyes and making them look a little bit more defined while keeping it pretty simple. And we're going to pair it with a nude lip. I think this is a pretty wearable look, an everyday look for me. It is still full glam, but if you wear a lot of makeup often, this is a pretty easy everyday look for you. And yeah, so subscribe down below, give this video a thumbs up. Yeah, so just keep on watching if you want to see how to get this look. Okay guys, so we're gonna go ahead and get started with the eye makeup. I've already did this eye off camera and I've already primed and set this eye. I just primed with the Maybelline Age Rewind Concealer in Fair, and I set with the Maybelline Fit Me powder. So today's look is pretty easy. It's more of just a defined crease, and then you just have a smoky lash line. So we're gonna go ahead and start with this Life is a Drag palette by Lunar Beauty. So we're gonna go in with the Morphe M441 brush, and we're gonna go in with Hunty right here, which is more cool tone brown, and we're gonna go in with the Morphe 39A palette, and we're gonna go in with the lightest one right here. The reason I'm starting off with the more cool tone is because I don't want it to get too warm, even though it is still pretty warm, but this will kind of just cool that down just a little bit. So we're just gonna mix those 2 shades together and on the M441 brush, and we're just going to take this in right to our crease, and we're going to start out here towards the outer part of our eyebrow. That's where we're going to start, and we're just going to go ahead in circular motions start blending it into our crease. And once I get further in, instead of folding it into my eye, I'm going to take it more up into my eyebrow, just to kind of elongate the eye and make them look a little bit bigger, because if you go like into the inner corner of your eye, it's going to end up rounding out your eye. Okay, so now we're going to keep going in with this Hunty shade from the Lunar Beauty palette, or the Life's a Drag palette. And so we're just going to take that again, and then we're going to go back into the Morphe palette, and we're going to go in with just the 3rd shade right here that's a little bit darker than the one that we had, and it's a little bit more neutral. And we're just going to go in with those 2 shades, mixing them together too, and kind of just doing the same thing, still on the M441 brush. We're kind of just doing that same thing again, still bringing it up towards the eyebrow. We're also kind of taking it further out instead of keeping it rounded here. And again, just brushing that onto our lid when there's really nothing on our brush. Okay, so now that we have that shade on, we're going to go back in with that little bit of that Hunty shade and those 2 shades that we just used, and kind of just keep deepening it until you have it to where you want it. And then I'm going to go in with this Morphe M31. This is just a more fluffy brush. It's pretty big, and we're just kind of going to blend that together. And now what I'm going to do is go in with that same M441 brush and go in with Mug from the Life's a Drag palette. And we're just going to take this right into our crease just to really define it. And we're just going to go very lightly. And then we're going to go back in with that big fluffy brush, blending them together. And then just going back in, dusting that onto our eyelid. And now what we're going to do is take a Morphe M432, which is the flat definer brush, and back in with that mug shade that we just used in our crease. We're just going to push this up to our lash line. Just like if you were doing eyeliner, but this is just going to be a little bit softer than if I just went in with a gel liner or a liquid liner. And then we're going to go in with a M321, and this just has a point to it, so it's really going to blend this out nicely. So we're going to take in that Hunty shade and the third darkest shade and kind of just blend it out. Basically, we don't want to blend that line away. We just want to soften it. Back in with that mug shade on that brush again and just kind of go right into our crease. Just to make it a little bit more defined. Okay, so now we're going to apply some mascara. I'm going to use the L'Oreal Lash Paradise. And so now we're going to move on to our face makeup. We're just going to spray our face with the Badescu spray, and this is the green one. This one just has green tea, aloe, and cucumber, so we're just going to spray our face. Okay, and for foundation, we're going to use the Wet n Wild PhotoFocus and the L'Oreal Pro Matte Infallible. And this one, the Wet n Wild one, is in porcelain, and this one is in true alabaster. So we're just going to mix these two together on the back of my hand. Just do a little bit of the L'Oreal and a little bit of the Wet n Wild. I like to mix these two because I feel like the L'Oreal can be a little too matte for me sometimes, especially whenever it's getting a little bit drier. So I do like it on its own, but I like it mixed together a little bit more. And today I'm just going to go with my sponge and blend this out. This is the Real Technique sponge. And I'm just going to blend this out. And since the L'Oreal one kind of dries down a little bit quickly, I like to do one side of the face at a time. Okay, so now we're going to go with concealer. We're just going to use the same one that we used to prime our eyes. And we're going to use the Maybelline Age Line. And I'm just going to bring it up against my nose. And then in a triangle. Okay, so we've let it sit there for just a little bit. So I'm going to start blending it out. So the next part we're going to set, and this is my favorite way to set if I want it to last for a really long time. And so what we're going to do is just take some of our translucent powder. This is the Maybelline Fit Me powder in Fair. And we're just going to set our eyes and then bake it. So basically this is just going to really set your face and make it last for a really long time. If you have oily skin, I would definitely suggest doing this. If you have drier skin, I don't know if I would. Maybe don't bake for so long, because this could look a little dry if you have dry skin. But if you have combo to oily, I would try this technique. I've seen a lot of YouTubers do this technique. So I'm just setting, and this is the E3 brush by Morphe. I'm going to go in with a big fluffy brush to set the rest of my face. And then we're going to go in with the E2 brush and same translucent powder to set the rest of our face. Just so that whenever we put anything on, like our bronzer or our blush, it's really going to blend nicely onto our foundation because we put the powder down first. Because if we don't set it, it could stick to the foundation and just cling to that spot that you put it on and not really blend out that well. And so now we're going to go ahead and bronze. I'm going to go in with the Butter Bronzer by Physicians Formula, and this is the light one. I'm going to go with this big fluffy brush, and this is the M527. It's just a really big fluffy brush, which is great for bronzing. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and contour a little, and I'm gonna use, if I can get it, the Anastasia contour kit, and I'm gonna go in with this middle shade right here, which is more of a cool tone shade. And I'm just gonna go in with, let's go with this one. This is more of a precise contour brush. It has a point to it, and it's a M52. Wait, no, M528. We're just gonna contour. Okay, so we're gonna take the Maybelline powder, and we're gonna take another Real Technique sponge. I like to use two different ones, one for creams and one for powders. And it is damp, so it's not gonna look too dry under the eye, too heavy. So I'm just gonna go under the eye and then up against the nose. And going back here is just gonna lift the eyes like we did with the concealer. And then we're gonna go under where we just contoured and all that, just to carve out and make it look a little bit sharper in case that we got a little too messy or went a little too low with it. I'm going with this brush. This is from the Lunar Beauty palette too, and this is just the fluffier side. And we're just gonna go up where our eyebrow is, right here, and just wipe off that powder. Just like that. We're gonna let that sit for just a little bit while we do our lower lash line and wipe off down here. I don't want that to bake for too long. And on our forehead. So now we're gonna go with our bronzer brush that we used and just blend that out where we had that on our forehead just a little bit. Not the smartest idea to wear a black shirt while I'm doing my makeup, but whatever. Okay, so now we're gonna go back in with that Lunar Beauty brush that we used to wipe off that powder. And I'm just gonna go in with, actually, I think I'm gonna use a little mixture of our contour shade and that shade that we used up here, the darkest one that we used, not the mauve shade, but the shade right before that, because I kind of want it to blend in with that since we did take it into our eyebrow. So I just want to mix those two shades together. And I lightly do this, like barely, just to add a little color. I'm just gonna take it. And then we're gonna go with the M506, I think this, yeah, and just blend it out. I'm never gonna wipe off the bake under my eyes. And when I wipe it off, I'm just gonna push it into this. I'm gonna go back in with the sponge that I used for foundation. Kind of blend over that, what we just did for our nose contour. And now we're just gonna spray our face. I'm gonna use MAC Fix Plus. This is the coconut one. Now we're gonna do our highlight. So we're gonna do all of our powders before we put our lower lash line, our lower mascara on, so that when we spray our face, it's not gonna get all under here. So I'm gonna use the Becca Moonstone highlighter. This is just a light champagne gold. And then I'm just gonna spray my brush so that it becomes just a little bit more pigmented and it really sinks into our skin. And so now we're going to take that same highlighter and I'm going to go in with the E36 brush. This is the tiny pencil brush I like to use for my nose and my inner corner highlight. I'm just going to go in with the inner corner. And now we're going with a little bit of blush. This is the Milani Luminoso blush. And this is just a Sephora angled brush. And we're just gonna blend our bronzer and our highlight together. Okay, so now I'm going to set my face. And I'm going to use the Milani Make It Last setting spray. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and finish up the look. I'm going to do my lower lash line. I'm just going to use the L'Oreal Telescopic mascara because it has a really small wand. I feel like it's great for my lower lash line. Okay, so I'm going to go in with MAC Whirl and just line my lip. Kind of just like roughly drawing it out, and now we're going to go in with the MAC Velvet Teddy lipstick and just kind of blot this onto where we just did that lip liner. So we're going to blot this on to blend those two together. We're going to go with our concealer brush and just clean that up right there. I actually might go in with just a little bit of Honey Love right in the middle. Okay guys, so this is the finished look. I think this look is pretty simple. It didn't take too long to do. If I'm not filming, it won't take me as long to do it. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, subscribe, like, do all that that you do. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!